One of the most common questions I've gotten in all my years of selling real estate is, what improvements should I make to my home to increase its value? I don't care whether you just bought your home, you're thinking of selling soon, think of selling in the distant future, or maybe you're never thinking of selling your home at all. This video is going to answer what does and doesn't add value to your home. Hi, I'm Brian Marino, the Real Realtor. I've been selling homes on Long Island for 32 years now, more than 32 years. And hopefully you like and subscribe, you get some value out of what I'm about to share with you right now. There's a lot of conflicting information about this topic. And what I'm going to share with you is based on my experience, not something I've read in a book. And the first point I want to make is there is a slight distinction between a bank appraisal and what somebody pays for the house. A bank appraisal happens when someone's getting a mortgage and the bank just want to make sure that the value is there and someone isn't overpaying for the house. Now, what typically happens in real estate, and I've had this happen several times in each example I'm about to give to illustrate the point, is when we sell a home that needs a tremendous amount of work, okay, we almost never worry about the appraisal because someone's not going to overpay, because they're going to pay less because of all the improvements they have to make. Conversely, if we sell a home that's been improved any which way you could think of, we worry about the appraisal a lot. So what this has really shown me over the years is that when a bank appraisal is a more logical and less emotional way of looking at a home. But when someone buys a home, they buy it emotionally, just as much emotionally as logically, if not more emotionally. So in this video, I'm going to focus on what somebody is actually paying for the house. And right now what I want to do is I want to go over the things that are going to get you back 100% or more, because that's a big distinction right now. What that means is for every dollar you improve the house, you're going to get back that dollar when you go and sell the house. Not everything gives you back the money. And I'll explain that more in detail later on in the video. But the first thing I want to talk about that'll get you back more money than you put in is a very simple one. Keep your home clean. Dirt is the enemy. It wears everything out if it's not taken care of every so often. So keep your kitchens clean, keep your baths clean, keep your floors and walls clean. You'll be appreciative about it in the future, because one, it'll make everything last longer, and two, it just has a nice, neat appearance. People want to be in a clean home. If it's unkempt and there's dirt lying around, it could attract god-awful things that you don't want to deal with. So clean, very simple thing, clean. You put a little money into that, you'll get it back, oh my God, 2, 5, 10-fold. Next point. Fix little things in the house that need to be fixed. You know, a good home inspector once told me water is the enemy of a house. And the easiest distinction you can make is when a roof leaks, if you don't take care of it right away, it's going to cause a lot of problems all over the place. Water could cause a problem in the foundation, leaky pipes. There's so many things that water could be a problem with. But that's not the only little thing that should be fixed, but it is one of the biggest things of the little things, if that makes sense. So keep on top of those little things. You know, when somebody comes in and the screen door doesn't shut, that's something that's going to affect people's value in their minds psychologically. So all those little things need to be done, keep on top of them. Best example I can give in my own experience is I had a new house built about 10 years ago. After a couple of years, when the house was built, we had a balcony put off the master bedroom. We loved it at night. But after a couple of years, it started leaking down into the living room. So every time it rained hard, it would be a leak coming out of the ceiling. Lovely. Anybody who's dealt with that knows it's just one of the most unsightly, pain in the butt things you have to deal with. So we did take care of it after a couple of months. We didn't let it linger too long. And then, of course, not only did the leak itself get remedied, but then what happened is the ceiling where it got stained, we cut a hole out of it and patched it up and made it look like it was brand new, so that there was no evidence of any problems. I often tell sellers, Buyers walk around looking for reasons to offer less. So remove those reasons. Repair all those little things. Very important. Next point I want to make. Simple fix to a house that gives you more than 100% back. Painting the house. Painting a house leaves it cleaner, fresher. Sometimes it even smells new. It just gives the emotional feeling of something new and something you want to spend time around. When something's not painted, it just looks unsightly. I don't really think I have to go into a lot of detail on that. Another real life example I can give is about 30 years ago, I was a young snot-nosed punk in real estate. An investor gave me his house to sell. He had been renting it, but he got the tenants out. So we sold it. You know, you can imagine what a rented house looked like after someone was there. Wasn't the best looking house, but it wasn't terrible. But we just couldn't get any offers on it. Finally, I had read in the past that painting will improve a house much more than you'll have to the cost of the paint itself and the labor. So I went to the owner and I said, look, we have one or two choices to get this house sold. You either have to lower the price $10,000 or spend a couple of thousand painting the house. He was a guy with an accent. He goes, okay, I will paint the house. And he painted the house, and about a week later, it was done. And less than a week after that, we got an offer for nearly full price, might have been full price. I don't remember how long it was. So to me, that's all I ever needed to hear again, that painting a house will give you much more value than the cost of putting it in. Next point I want to make, similar to painting the walls, is flooring. Flooring again, clean look, fresh look, new look. Especially when it's kept clean. Everything is positive about flooring. If it looks, if it's chipped, if it's, missing some spots in the wood floors or it's stained, you might take care of that because, again, it gives an unsightly appearance. Eliminate those reasons a buyer could have to offer less. And another point I want to make about that is almost 30 years ago when I started in the business, I started 32 years ago, paneling was on its way out then. Occasionally, even in 2023, I see a house with paneling. I almost shudder when I see that because in 95% of the cases, the paneling is unsightly or we know that any buyer coming in, that's going to be the first thing that they want to rip out is the paneling. So if you have paneling in a house and you want to increase its value, that's one way to do it. Get rid of the paneling. If it's not unsightly and you enjoy it, no, don't do it yet. Don't do it yet if you're not thinking of selling. But paneling is one thing that is not a positive thing. And now the fifth thing I want to talk about, landscaping. This is probably the biggest thing I see investors make the mistake of. They want to make a house all pretty on the inside, but then on the outside, it's an eyesore. And sometimes they don't even clean it up a little bit, which is beyond me. Two things about landscaping. It's the first impression when somebody comes to the house. When somebody comes to your home for the first time and the landscaping is nice, what's the first thing they're probably going to say when you open the door and let them in? Oh my God, your home is so pretty. It looks so pretty. And this and that. And that's a big ego boost. Some people really like that. Hey, I'm human. I like that too. So that's a big thing. And of course, that mentally sets the stage for what's on the inside as to the whole package. Someone will want to pay more for it. Next thing about it, with the landscaping, what you might want to think about is doing the landscaping. People are going to be driving by the house. They might not necessarily come in. That's the way homes are sold today with addresses all over the websites. So they're going to drive by first. So keep that in mind too with the landscaping. Now the last point, sixth and final point I want to make is it's about green features. This really could go either way, and I was hesitant to even include it in, but it seems like something that's going to be more important tomorrow than it is today. So things like solar panels, LED bulbs, insulation in the attic, really efficient heating systems and appliances, all those type of things. Are they adding value in proportion to the cost? Close. Some things are, some things aren't. Like obviously light bulbs, LED bulbs are going to help Is someone going to pay more for that? I don't know if I've seen that universal. What I will say is the younger, more first-time-ish type of buyer will probably see value in that and pay for that versus the older person where it's a little less tangible of a thing to see a difference of, if that makes sense. It's a little hard to explain. But it is something that I feel that tomorrow will be worth more than it is today, so that's why I did include it. So that sums up the 6 things. But Brian, what about my kitchen? What about my bathroom? What about the roof? What about the heating system? All right, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up. You see, those type of improvements, you're not going to get your money back dollar for dollar. In not every case, but almost every case. Yes, almost every case. You're not going to get your money back. If you read any articles about it, usually you typically get 60 to 70, maybe 75% back for these type of improvements. I hope I didn't lose you, but I'm going to be real, and that's the truth. You're probably thinking, well, why would that be? Well, especially if you're an investor or thinking of selling the house, if you put in a new kitchen, what if the buyer doesn't like the color? You don't want to spend a lot of money, but if you go too cheap, they're going to rip it out too. So that's one big thing. Now, the second and most important point about these type of improvements, particularly kitchens and baths, okay? Roofs and heating systems, their maintenance, that's like on a car. When a car needs new tires or an oil change, you got to spend the money to do it. Well, the same thing with roofs and heating systems and maybe windows, things like that. Kitchen and bath, okay? When you buy a new car, and let's say you drive it around for about, maybe, 5 minutes, 5 miles, whatever it might be, and you decide you don't want the car and you return it. Maybe if you're lucky, you'll get your money back. I wouldn't bet on it, but maybe you would. But now let's say that person's got to sell the car again, that dealership. Guess what? It's a used car now. They are not going to get back their money for it. That's what you have to keep in mind with kitchens and baths. When you put in a kitchen, like one of the biggest jokes we have in real estate, inside joke, is when someone shows us their home and they say, look at my kitchen, it's brand new. Look at my bath, it's brand new. Oh, great, I say. When did you put that in? And they say, 5 years ago. Dun, dun, dun. Guess what? It's not brand new. It's 5 years old. And if you had to rip out that exact kitchen and try and sell it, you have to sell it as a 5-year-old kitchen. So it's the same thing as when you try and sell a car that's been driven for a few miles. I don't care if it's 5 minutes old. It's still used. Chances are you cooked on the stove. You used the counters. You used the sinks in the bathroom and the kitchen. You probably sat on the toilet and used it too. So now it's used. It's not worth as much as it is new. That's why with those type of improvements, you only get 60 to 70% back. So the takeaways from this, what I want you to remember. Certain things will get your money back dollar for dollar. Other things won't. But those things, if you want to change the kitchen and bath, do it for your enjoyment. Do it for your enjoyment. Don't do it necessarily as an investment, particularly if you're going to stay in the house a long time. Real world example just happened to me a few days ago. A past customer came to me. She texted me and said, I'm trying to get my husband to put in a double sink in the bathroom. She goes, that'll increase the value, won't it? I said, well, it might increase the value, but it's not universal. If someone doesn't care about a double sink, they're not going to pay, the few $100s more that a double sink will cost. So I said, do it for your enjoyment because you're going to stay for several more years and you'll get enjoyment out of it. So that made sense to her. She was happy. And that pretty much sums up what I have to say about improvements. I hope you got some value out of this. I hope you I hope you subscribe. If you have any questions, please ask them below. And even if you just want to pick my brain, that's fine. And look for my next video where I talk about mistakes you don't want to make when you're trying to sell your home.